right, let's look at this example, exercise as an example. So for this exercise, you are required to declare or define a struct type, okay? And that new type, which is usually defined, will be called struct mark type, and it will consist of an integer string number, a float array of four marks, four elements, and then also a final mark, which will be a calculated mark. Okay. Then your array, which is rather your table here. Okay. That is a table. Now, what this says is that we need to record the marks of 50 students for all the six tests that they are doing. Okay, we can even reduce it to 2 tests. Okay, but let's say we want to record the marks only for. Yeah, okay. So this here is a two-dimensional array. Okay, so what it says is that. So this is a two-dimensional array. Okay. And there are six, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say 4, and there will be 50 students or 20 students. Okay? So each of these blocks here, okay, each of those blocks there, each of those blocks will contain a student number, it will contain 4 marks for a particular test, and it will also contain a final mark, okay, for that particular subject or that student. Okay? So, so this student on this line here is subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4. Okay? So for subject 4, he has 4 scores, 4 tests, and it's for the final mark. Okay? Right? And then for subject 2 here, this particular student will also have the same, so let's say this is student 200 and blah, 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 blah. And then you've got 56, 65, 63, and 75. Okay, so those are the cases. The final case, final mark will be a mark calculated, and let's say a 61. Okay, so that would be the final mark. So that block there contains these elements there. Okay, right? So that so now you want to store all this information or rather you want to read this information from a list. But let's limit this to only one class. Okay. So now we have a class list. Okay. So we have our student numbers here on that row, and we have all our final marks here on that row, and then we will have the final marks. Okay. This is itself here will consist of only that. So we will not then make that 50 for now. We will leave it in one-dimensional array. Okay, now let me go to my let's say okay. Right. Let's take that out. Okay. So what we've got here, let's take that one out. So here you've got some data that consists of a student number, a final mark, and then five other marks. Okay. So now what you want to do, you want to read this information into a basically a one-dimensional array. Okay. So this will basically be a one-dimensional array because one of these lines will be a struct that consists of a student number, 4 marks or 5 marks, and a final mark. Okay. All right. So let's copy all that information there. This is assuming that you already have the data, so I'm just showing you how you can actually create a file that contains data. Right? There's all the data in there. Okay. Now this will be floating point, and these will also be integer numbers. Okay. And so now you need to know which is which. Okay, that is a student number, that is the final mark, that is a mark 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? And if you've got a fifth mark or sixth mark, we can do that. Okay. So let's go over here. Now we want to define, we first want to, so we've got our file, let's just first save the file. Where is the file? All right, so the file is saved. So that is just a text file. Okay. Now, we will start our project. C++ console application, and let's just say call this read process. Okay. All right. So we need some includes, and one of the includes that we will need is an IO stream. We also need a file called fstream. This has to do with stream reading or file stream reading. Fstream is basically file stream reading. Then we need the base. Okay. That's all that you need there. Okay. So now we need to define our struct. Okay, we said our struct contains a name, a rather student number, 4 marks, 5 marks in this case, and then a final mark. Okay? So we will declare. Start with the struct. Um, marks, marks type. Okay. And a struct basically is a structure in the sense that you contains some other members inside of it. Okay. So here we have an integer, and we call it stat num, stat node. Okay. The other thing that you need to also know about structs is you can't initialize values when in the definition of a struct. Okay, you can't say that, for instance. That is not going to work. Okay. although it looks like there's no errors, but that could be illegal because the struct members is only applicable when an object of that type is declared. Okay, it only it's created in memory only when that, but not at that stage. Okay, so the next one is integer array and marks 5 marks. Yeah, inside the struct you can't initialize it there. Okay, you can't initialize it there. Only when you define it out, when you create an object of that. I'll show you now. And the final one be that's a double. Uh, final mark. The word final there is a reserved word, I think. Final is the result. Okay, let's call it final mark. Okay, so that could be a double. Now inside here you can declare a struct type, which is your marks type. Marks type is your newly defined type, and let's just call this student marks. Student marks, okay? And then we set, let's say for 25 students, okay? All right. So for 25 students. Now the other thing that we need to have is, okay, now let's assume that we will process this using a for loop int I, rather not, okay? Dealing with files, okay, so I need to continue with that. Firstly, you need, once you've declared your array of the newly defined struct type, you also need to define, create a input file stream, okay? And let's call that in dot open. Okay, and then here we will say now then this here opens up the file. Okay, the first one creates an object of file type, and that one opens up the file. Okay, another statement further down will simply close the file. Okay, okay. So this statement here or opens a file stream, and at the same instant it connects the object file input object. It connects the file open object with the actual physical file. Okay. So whatever you do with this here, now input is the same like cin and output or O stream or OF stream or OF stream and IF stream. This is like the similar to your cin statement, and this will be similar to your out statement. Okay. So in the same way that you would use CE, you will also use the newly created input file stream. Okay. The same with that. Okay. Now you can give it other names that is more meaningful that actually says it's an input file. Okay. Or the output file there. Okay. So that you know it's the one is. So you might not require output file here as well, but we leave it there. Okay. So now we say that we assume that there is, in this case, there is data in there, and we want to just read the data into our array. Okay. And you can use a for loop and say that it must loop for 25 records, okay? But if there's not 25 records there, you want to loop only until there's no records left, okay? So you could use a statement called while inf dot eof, all right, while, okay? So what we're saying here is while it's not the end of the file, while it is not the end of the file, okay, we will continue reading that, okay, into, now, in this case, we want to read it into our array, okay. So, what we also might need here is an account, okay, because we're using a while loop and we're not using a for loop. Our counter is to use, yeah, counter is basically for our number of records. So, we will say input file. Okay, let's see in it. See in is that way, see out is that way. Okay. Now, that marks subscripted by CET dot student number. So we're reading, firstly we read the student number, and then we will read that marks. Now, if you note, the structure of our file is we've got our student number first, then we've got a final mark, and then we've got the other marks, okay? 5 marks. So we can read the final mark in there, right? So that will store that into the final mark. And now, because there are 5 marks, we need a for loop that actually iterates through that loop five times. For I equals 0, while I is less than I plus, and then we will in dot marks subscripted by I. Okay? So we will read those 5 marks. So your file reading takes one chunk of information and reads that into the variable on the right hand side. Okay? And then it goes to the next data and it reads that. Okay, the next column and the next column. Okay, so every read here skips to the next column. If it reaches the end of the line, it will just go to the next line and reach the first column in the next line and so on. At the end here, you will basically have printed out your. So what we can do just to make sure that we're getting the student, we will simply just will look out the statement here, that, we're in reading there, and student number has out. That will read on the next line, okay? So after that, we now have to do what? Yes, final mark. Here we're reading the final mark here. No, we don't display the. You want to display the final mark also? Okay, we can do that. Um, okay. Maybe we must put there another. got marks. Let's just look at what marks look like. Where's the marks? That's the one. Where did we put it now? Let's just make sure that there is no spaces here at the bottom there. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so save this. But now we want to rather copy this or put this into our folder where our actual program is running from. That should be from the project. What do we call this? Where is it? Process mark. Okay. So process mark. So we put that file inside that inner folder. Right? When it when it does this open file there, it will look for the file in the current folder. Okay. Otherwise, you'll have to specify the path here, and it would be a long path. Okay. So let's just test this. The solution. Right, so there's no errors there. We can, okay, let's just use another run. What's happening? So let's use a. Let's use, okay, so they had printed out the information which was read into that form from the data file. No, CLT is what we've declared here. Basically, it's a counter. Okay, that's just a counter. Okay, this over here, that's your output file. Yeah. All right. So you get the idea. Okay, let me just